Oh, hey guys. I was just sitting here waiting for ideas for my next video, but nothing was coming to mind. So, I decided to take it upon myself to build a robot to do the video ideas for me. Say hello to Video Generator 5, or VG5 for short. Are you gonna say anything?
I am programmed to generate video ideas, not greet the audience.
Well, if that's how I programmed you, generate me a video idea, please. Baldi's Basics Plus, eh? Been a while since I've played that. Could be worth it to take a trip back into its chaos. When you're talking about various games, many of them have something that stand out about them. Plants vs. Zombies has fun, addictive tower defense gameplay. Undertale has genre-defining battle systems, and FNAF has extremely overcomplicated lore that I neglected to go into detail about in the last video. And then there's Baldi's Basics Plus. Most of this game is a combination of chaotic RNG and quote-unquote strategy, with the added element of horror, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Baldi's Basics Plus was released on June 11th, 2020 as a successor to the original title, Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. And when I say released, I mean that in the heaviest air quotes. Currently, as of making this video, the game is still in early access. This means it's technically unfinished and a demo, so this begs the question, should I be talking about the game?
Yes.
I mean, of course I should. I won't let the fact that it's not finished yet stop me from talking about it. So let's first talk about its already mentioned predecessor, the original Baldi's Basics.
Welcome to Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. That's me.
So this name, huh? I wonder how many people actually thought it was an educational game at first glance. I know I did. Regardless, I'm not going to be getting into the original game too much, just because most of what's here is expanded upon in Plus. The most remarkable thing about the original is just the fact that it was only supposed to be a small thing in the beginning, but by YouTubers playing it, the game spiraled into popularity. Like I mentioned in the past, people will eat up anything a popular YouTuber plays, but I digress. After the original game was popular, the creator, MrMan12, made some other versions of the game before Plus. The Camping Kickstarter was a short and sweet way to introduce more mechanics and form a Kickstarter for even more to come out of the Baldi's games. Afterwards, it was a fairly quiet with the game until the Anniversary Edition came out. This version is exactly what it sounds like, just an updated version of the original game with some added items, themes, and along with nightmares. After the Anniversary Edition, we got two demo versions of soon-to-be Baldi's Basics Plus, with the first one being a public demo and the second being a Kickstarter exclusive. Both of these lay out the main groundwork for what would soon become Baldi's Basics Plus, the early access. When opening up the game, you're greeted with a disclaimer about the game. The original had one of these too, and they're both pretty much the same thing. The original was telling you that this is not an educational game for people like me in 2018 who thought it actually was, while the one in the new game is just telling us that although the game doesn't have many horror aspects, they're still here and can still scare you. Continuing on, we then have to make a user or pick an existing one to get the actual game. Am I the only one who thinks this intro feels anticlimactic without the original game's whole Baldi spiel?
Yes.
Regardless, jumping into the main selection screen, there's many options here to keep my hands busy for half an hour while I wait for the Hot Pockets to cook. We got Hide and Seek, Explorer Mode, Endless, Field Trips, and Purgatory in that order. And as much as I'd love to check out the options menu, that funky jazz in Hide and Seek is calling my name. This is some classic Baldi's Basics if I've ever seen it. Hide and Seek is the main game mode here, a replacement for the normal mode if you will. You've got 3 floors to traverse here, with each of them getting more difficult than the last. The primary objective here on each floor is to collect all of the notebooks without getting caught by Baldi and to avoid his friends by using items and other mechanics around the super schoolhouse. But I'll continue about that later. As you can probably guess by looking, the more notebooks you collect, the faster Baldi gets, causing some interesting mind games that can occur. One of the biggest things that becomes evident when playing this is the randomly generated levels. In contrast to the original single layout, each time you lose 3 times in a row in the main mode, the floor layout will be generated to something different. Not only does this add to the replayability, but it also adds to the quote-unquote strategy of trying to get all the notebooks without knowing what the layout will be like. Between floors, you get access to the shop, which lets you purchase items with YTPs. These are points you can get in the levels themselves by doing things like getting notebooks and going on field trips. You can also buy the ability to fill out your map for the current floor, which helps out a lot to correlate with the random generation. And enough about all this. What do you really want to hear about? The fact that the floors are randomly generated? Pfft. What you really want to hear about is what Baldi's Basics is most well known for. Characters. As earlier mentioned, almost every game mode features the other characters you'll have to go up against in order to win. And the characters are... Playtime. Oh yeah, now I remember why I haven't played this game. Playtime frolics throughout the halls looking for someone to play with, forcing you to jump rope with her 5 times before you can move on with your day. She becomes a pain just due to the sheer amount of time she can force you to stop and play, especially when you're trying to escape Baldi. And I swear I cannot count how many times she's forced me to stop when Baldi's right behind me. Moving on. Principle of the Things, or Principle of the Thing, I'm unsure, is probably one of the most common characters you'll encounter, going around making sure you aren't breaking the rules. He can sometimes be just as, if not even more annoying than Playtime and some of the most problematic characters due to how long you can be punished for. There are so many things that can get you sent to the principal's office, and even just getting sent there once lasts 15 seconds, which is more than enough on certain speeds for Baldi to catch you instantly. Just simply running while he's in sight is enough for you to get sent away. But thankfully, he usually doesn't stay in specific areas for too long, causing him to not be too problematic if you know what you're doing. It's a Bully picks a specific spot to lounge in for a while, blocking your path unless you have an item with you. There's really not much else to say about him other than he can be annoying. Sometimes it really more depends on the situation you're in when you encounter him.
I think he deserves more than that. Just look at his face. Don't you think he's been through enough?
Maybe I should remove your voice box.
No.
Arts and Crafters just kinda sits and does nothing until you've gotten the required amount of notebooks for whatever floor you're on. Then they decide to become hostile and teleport you to a relatively close location to where Baldi is, and also alerting him of your location. Again, not too much else to say here.
I think...
No. You know, come to think of it, Gotta Sweep and First Prize are kinda similar in concept. Gotta Sweep becomes active after a while and runs around and drags everything in its path, while First Prize is active from the start but only pushes the player around in a more gradual pace. Both of these have different mechanics and means of countering them, but in general accomplish a similar goal. Cloudycopter is a returning character originally from the Camping Kickstarter, and being the only original character from said game. Regardless, Cloudycopter will occasionally go to a random point in the map to blow wind down, causing movement to be favored in a specific direction. This is one of the only characters that tends to be more helpful than harmful due to the wind often being in a direction you want it to be in. And even if it isn't, Cloudycopter doesn't stay in a specific area for too long, so... all in all, this really isn't a bad character if you come across it on the floor. Chuckles is... this? If you stay in a room that he's in for too long, he'll spin around making noises that attract Baldi and also locks the doors. He's just weird. There's nothing else to say about him. Beans can either be one of the most annoying enemies in the game or one of the most helpful depending upon your timing. When he enters your sight line, he'll shoot out a gumball of sorts that slows you down for an agonizingly long time. And if you get hit by it while running and the principal's nearby, oh, you'll be sent to detention. Thankfully, he has a somewhat forgiving wind-up time, and if the ball hits other characters, they'll get slowed as well, making it somewhat strategic to time when he shoots in correlation with you. Miss Pomp runs around occasionally with the accompanying loud thuds to let the player know, oh yeah, I'm screwed. When she catches you, she'll freeze you in place to tell you where her class is and how long you have to get there. Getting there on time grants you some extra points, while failing to do so gets you, this.
Class dismissed.
And lastly, we have the test. And really, to be frank with you, I barely encountered him. When the player is in his sight lines, you have 5 seconds to get out of his sight line before he begins to do whatever this is. If he catches you, an extremely dark and annoying blind list is applied with creepy music. Yeah, I think I'm glad I don't see him more often. And that's all of them. Surely a great cast of characters that will go down in gaming history as iconic, and certainly won't make anyone break down when they see them.
You know, I'm starting to get sick of these characters.
You just tried to defend one earlier.
I've changed my mind. I like the items better now anyways.
Well, if you like them so much, how about you talk about them?
With pleasure. Do you like items? I sure do, especially the ones in Baldi's Basics Plus that can destroy anybody. Let's talk about them, shall we? B-Soda is an item you can find around that lets you push back any enemy with a few exceptions. B-Soda is also one of the 2 vending machine items, causing it to be more valuable and useful. Speaking of vending machine items, the second one is the Zesty Bar. This refills your stamina when consumed and gives you a temporary infinite stamina boost in case you're in a pinch. Although this may not be as useful or popular as the former, this item is still very good at helping the player. The quarter is probably one of the most versatile items in the game. Just like me, it can be used towards the vending machines. Random phones that occasionally appear that can affect Baldi, unlock doors, and others. The clue for Baldi's least favorite takers in the name really. It can be used in the principal's office to cause Baldi to not be able to hear noises. Not much else to say about this one. The swinging door lock is another fairly simple one. You can use it to lock the big yellow doors you find around the map. Although not as useful as the other items, it can still help if Baldi is given chase. The alarm clock is a plus-up item that will make a noise that attracts Baldi after a while. This item is kinda stupid. It can be useful if you're in a tight spot, but its usefulness boils down to the player knowing when the thing goes off. And even if that idea is only good if Baldi doesn't currently see the player. Principal's keys get you into locked doors and out of the principal's office during detention.
Wow, you're so good at explaining things.
Safety scissors is one of the few items made specifically to counter certain characters, with those being the very annoying playtime beans. And first prize. Big old dudes can be equipped for a short period of time that makes the player immune to various pushing mechanics made by characters like on a sweep, but generally a waste of an item slot. WD no ski can be used to silence doors. Folks, I think we've found it. One of not the best items in the game. Being able to not only open doors without making a sound, but also being able to hide in lockers makes this item absolutely a must-have. And then there's the dirty chalk eraser. What it's supposed to do is make various characters unable to see the player, but the method of using it effectively outside of hiding in rooms so insanely precise and generally ineffective. The dangerous teleport is a lot like gambling. Using it teleports the player to a random location on the current map. This can either be the biggest help or your demise. Again, like gambling, Principal's whistle has one extremely straightforward niche use. Countering its ability, using this will send the principal right to your location, taking away the bully from where you are. This can also be used to get yourself into detention if for some reason you would want that. The faculty name then negates any character from bothering you for 30 seconds, excluding Baldi. Too bad it's super rare though. An apple for Baldi is thankfully another really good item. Or at least some people say, not like I've played this game before. Regardless, this item gives you a 15-second break from Baldi when he catches you, so it's basically a free shield and an escape button. This item is also the most expensive in the shop, costing 250. The more you know. And lastly, the grappling hook. This item lets the player escape and move around quicker, and can be used 5 times before leaving your inventory. Honestly, this item is better in the challenge associated with it.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, good. That means I can...
Oh wait, I forgot the portal poster. This item can be used on walls to connect one room and another. It can also be used to escape detention early.
Are you done now?
Yes, 100%.
So those were all the items in the game. Some were obviously better than others, but each item has some kind of use and they're all decently fun to use. But you know, these items may be great and all, but what about, the rooms? This game has rooms. I'm a room fanatic. Just watch. Classrooms are where you find notebooks and sometimes items. We already talked about items, so I'm not talking about them here. Faculty rooms have items again, but the principal will catch you if he sees you go into one of these. Why wouldn't he? He's the principal, right? You know. Supply closet. I'm not even going to talk about this room. It's so unimportant. It's only for one singular character. There are 3 main big areas that can spawn in the game, all of them with varying purposes. The cafeteria is mainly for vending machines and items. We already talked about items. I'm not going to talk about them again. The library is just a maze where you can not hear anything and find rare items occasionally. The playground is used again for items occasionally, but more importantly, you recover stamina while walking and won't lose any when running. This is the best room in the game. What else? Alright, events. Yay. Ugh. Events can randomly happen on any floor when the bell sound goes off. The fog event makes the player unable to see you past an inch in front of them, but NPCs can still see you. This event sucks. The flood event makes you slow and opens doors and has whirlpools that sucks you and other NPCs in. This event sucks. Broken ruler event does exactly what it sounds like. It makes Baldi completely silent but gives you a little bit of period of invincibility. This event is okay. The test procedure event just sucks. It makes the doors around the school close. It makes it really annoying to traverse. It's just bad. The mystery room event is, well, I'll be frank with you again. I've never reached this room, but it just looks like it gives you a rare item. Cool, love items, big fan of them. The party event causes all characters to go to the principal's office, and it contains, you guessed it, an item. It also plays nice music. Great, it's nice to hear something other than the constant slapping. And lastly, we have gravity chaos, and honestly, this event's pretty cool. You go up and down and all around, and stuff like this can happen. Too bad I don't see it more often. Man, this is taking longer than expected.
I can continue if you want.
No. I got this. I just need a break.
Coffee. Really?
If you don't shut up, I will pour this on you. Good. Let's press on, shall we? Now, all of that was just for the main mode, hide and seek, as previously mentioned. So, you're probably saying to yourself,
oh, FishPaste, you're gonna be spending 15 more minutes talking about these modes too?
But I say nay. Many of these modes share similar properties to the first, so I won't have to repeat myself here. And trust me, I've been through enough robot nonsense today.
No problem.
Explorer mode is just the main campaign, but without Baldi chasing after you 24/7. Hence the name. But really, I don't see the point in this one. At least in the original, you could use this to get to know the map, but since each level is auto-generated, you can't really do that, and plus, I mean, it's totally not like anybody would use it to get footage, yeah, totally not. Endless mode is exactly what it sounds like. One floor with Baldi and the other characters for all eternity. Well, at least until you get tired. Baldi also speeds up over time, but getting notebooks slows him down. So like the polar opposite of the main game mode. This is still a pretty fun game mode though. Challenge is a set of 3 smaller game modes, all with their own gimmick. Speedy is exactly what it sounds like again, but exactly not at the same time. It's just the player and Baldi that are both, you guessed it, extremely fast. The kicker here is, instead of 7 or 4 or 9 or 5, you gotta collect 25 notebooks to win. This is probably the hardest challenge, but that doesn't take away the enjoyment you can get out of this. There's just something so, what do I say, cool about going really fast. Grapple is where you can't move, but you have unlimited uses of grappling hooks in your inventory. Otherwise, it's just a normal floor. There are some pretty interesting mind games you can play here, and the grappling hook item is pretty fun to use. But other than that, there isn't really anything else to talk about here. The last challenge is stealthy, and I just don't get this one. The main goal here is to avoid the overflow of principals while sneaking around the school in order to collect 7 notebooks. If you get caught, it's game over, as when you get sent to the principal's office, Baldi instantly kills you. The main source of protection here are the dirty chalk erasers and the lockers, but the thing this challenge shows off the most is just how wonk the dirty chalk erasers are. They do not work half the time, and even if they do, there's still probably 2 other principals right behind me ready to kill. Even the lockers aren't safe all the time. So yeah, not a great challenge, but it's not horrible. It's pretty nice to hear like 5 principals whistling all at the same time. And lastly, in modes, we have field trips. These used to be just a maze in the returning camping mode from its Kickstarter, but now it's a bit simpler. Farm is basically just a sorting mini game where you gotta put the specific animal in the barn at the right time, while the camping one is basic math. Guess that's where the name Basics in the name came from. Simple or not though, these are still nice little things to waste 5 minutes on. And hey, that's just 5 more minutes you don't have to wait agonizingly long for the Hot Pockets to cook. And that's everything Baldi's Basics Plus currently has to offer. As more updates come to the game, I may have to make another video that's 40 minutes long in the future. But for the time being, this is it. Although this game has flaws here and there, it may not be the most engaging thing in the world, it still has many fun and chaotic moments to be had, and even some I have yet to experience. Truly a fun game to spend a few hours on if you're bored. Ah, that was fun, eh, VG5? VG5?